discuss the silent killer, or what I like to refer to as carbon monoxide. So with that, Ted, would you launch poll number 2?
Poll question number 2 here. Let me see here. Launch poll. All right. Have you or someone you know suffered from carbon monoxide poisoning? This is a very simple one. It's yay or nay.
I don't want to give too many options.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yay or nay? Plenty of time to vote yet.
I can answer that one for everybody.
Looks like the voting has stabilized. We're not seeing any new votes coming in.
I can't believe people aren't voting tonight. That's 2 polls in like 5 minutes, and we got like 75% of the people are actually doing it.
75% have voted in this one. We've got 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Okay, the poll is closed. So 27% of the respondents have known somebody who had carbon monoxide poisoning, and 73 have not.
Well, good for us. Good for us.
So that's a good thing.
So tonight I want to talk about deaths by carbon monoxide. I want to talk about carbon monoxide poisoning. I want to talk about how you should handle it across the board and what you should look for. So today's topic was brought up due to a residents having high levels of carbon monoxide just last week. Jason, what are you doing in that truck?
Might be time to mute yourself, Jay.
Did he just spin the truck out on the ice?
But yeah, maybe we just heard a crash, and that's why he's not answering.
It could be. Anyway, Bill Mackey was educated enough to take the correct precautions to advise his customer what to do, which was awesome. Bill and I talked about this in extension. It was pretty interesting. He advised the people to immediately leave the home. He red tagged the appliance, and actually I just found out before we got online tonight that the appliance has been replaced, and a previous appliance is now being tested in a laboratory called Bill's Basement. So annually, over 50,000 people end up in the emergency ward from carbon monoxide poisoning. Out of that, over 500 people in the USA die from carbon monoxide poisoning every year. That doesn't seem like a lot, but that's 1 to 3% of the people who suffer from carbon monoxide poisoning die, whether it's unintentional or intentional. AKA sitting in your car in the garage with the engine running, right? That's intentional.
We should rule that out.
Yep. And CO2 poisoning is the second leading cause of poisoning deaths. Hey, Ted, guess what the first cause is?
Drinking bleach.
Drugs.
Oh.
Overdosing on drugs is the leading poisoning death. I thought it was going to be.
We're causing that poisoning death. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Right.
I thought it was going to be Tide Pods. Anyway,
I thought it was going to be bleaching COVID out of yourself.
Yeah, right. So you might say, what makes me an expert on carbon monoxide poisoning? And I know this is kind of weird to say that I am a little bit more of an expert than most people in the worth. I've been an active scuba diver since 1974. I became an instructor in 1989. I became an instructor and trainer in 1993. And the number one topic in training divers is the air we breathe. Yes, for those of you who think that scuba divers carry oxygen tanks, they're not. They're compressed air tanks. Depending on the style tank, that can be anywhere from 2,400 to 4,000 PSI inside of a tank. and we take that with us down under the water, and we breathe air at ambient pressure. So as we go down, we increase the partial pressure of the gas because our surroundings increase in pressure, which means a little bit of carbon monoxide in that tank goes a long way. The problem is in diving, if there's a carbon monoxide poisoning, chances are if you, your dive buddy, and everybody diving with you got your scuba tanks filled at the same shop, then everybody's going to have it. So we're extremely careful as to what's inside those tanks to make sure the air gets cleaned correctly, that the compressor's been maintained properly so the oil's not flashing inside, so the air pickup is high enough on the building that's not picking up the carbon monoxide in the field. So it's pretty important to us. I just have to do one
Sounds
thing.
like he's underwater at this point. Speaking of scuba diving.
Yeah, I just muted him so I don't have to listen to him do whatever he's doing. So that's all I was doing, Ted. Sorry. So let's look at carbon monoxide a little closer. See, there's carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. And I want to verify, I just want to get straight what things are. Carbon dioxide is what we exhale after inhaling. When we inhale and use oxygen, we exhaust carbon dioxide. This is okay, it's not going to kill you. It comes from natural sources like volcanoes, breathing of animals, plant decay, human sources, primarily burning things like fossil fuels like coal. Yes, there's carbon dioxide that comes off of burning, which is why we do our tests, our combustion analysis is using carbon dioxide. So that's all carbon dioxide. The nice thing about carbon dioxide is trees and plants and flowers and greenery stuff take carbon dioxide and convert it back into oxygen. They absorb the carbon, they blow out oxygen. So there's two little graphs just show you the human factor and the natural sources of carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide, on the other hand, is a chemical produced from incomplete burning of fossil fuels. So this includes exhausts, heaters, fires, combustion engines, factory emissions. Carbon monoxide, I love it when people say, I could smell the carbon monoxide in the house. No, you smell unburnt fuel in the house. Carbon monoxide is colorless and odorless. You're not going to see it or smell it. The bad thing, if you want to call it that, is really naturally the only thing that absorbs carbon dioxide is soil. And acidic soils with the highest content of organic matter are the highest recipients, or that can convert carbon monoxide back into oxygen. And one of the leading sources of that is the Amazon forest, which is, oh, that's right, it's leaving us. So, but this is what we need to have to convert carbon monoxide back into oxygen. So this is just a little graphic that I came up with of products, how carbon monoxide is made. Cars left running in attached garages will kill people. Portable generators, corroded or disconnected water heater flues, furnace flues, the portable kerosene or gasoline heaters that were very popular back in the 90s, loose or broken vent pipes on boilers or furnaces, improperly vented gas ranges, operating grills indoors, which I thought was marvelous thought to do, gas or wood fire chimneys, fireplaces. Now, I have to ask you, what do you think the number one cause is? Out of all of these, what do you think the number one cause of carbon monoxide in a house is?
In the house.
In the house, the number one cause of carbon monoxide in a house.
Improperly installed kitchen range.
You would think, Ted, you would think, but the survey says
wrong.
Portable generators.
In the house.
Now this starts to reflect to me like natural selection. So I'm not arguing with the generators. Because if you're smart enough to wheel a generator into your house and run it, I got to question what the hell you're doing. So, but yeah, that's the number one cause. So now let's look at what your body senses. Let's look at what your body does and what it thinks about carbon monoxide. See, the breathing in our bodies is actually triggered not by a lack of oxygen, but by an increase of CO2 in your body. So as you hold your breath, like if you sat here right now and hyperventilated and held your breath, your body would tell itself to breathe because of buildup of CO2. Not lack of oxygen, a buildup of CO2. Our bodies can't sense a lack of oxygen. You can walk into a room that's 100% carbon monoxide and your body will never tell you not to go in there. And it will never tell you to breathe because it's carbon monoxide, not carbon dioxide. Carbon, and that shouldn't say CO2, that should say CO, carbon monoxide attaches to our red blood cells where oxygen usually goes. Now, CO2 is also carried out by the blood on those same cells that oxygen was. So oxygen goes out, goes into our system, it picks up CO2, brings it back. But if you're breathing carbon monoxide passes the oxygen onto the red blood cells and stays there. It stays there 10 times longer than oxygen. 10 times longer than oxygen, which means if you have been in a room with high levels of carbon monoxide breathing it, and you show any of the symptoms, you can't just walk outside and breathe. See, if we pass out from a lack of oxygen, you can simply be pulled outside and breathe oxygen and be fine. You hold your breath and pass out, we can take you outside, you're fine. But if it's caused by carbon monoxide, it's not going to be fine. Poll question number 3, Ted, if you would.
Sure. Here, let me just dig that up real quick. Poll question number 3. Have you ever worried about carbon monoxide poisoning? Select one of the following. Never knew it existed, a little, or all the time. 3 choices here. Make your choice. Never knew it existed, a little, or all the time.
Come on, people, get your vote in. Darn it.
Let's go.
Send your letters to dear old Captain Noah.
Let's go. 10 more seconds. Same 75% are voting. All right, here we go. Close the poll. Okay, so 0% say never knew it existed. Well, that's encouraging. Everybody knows about it. 60% worry about it a little, and 40% worry about it all the time.
That's good. That's good. That's a good poll. That's an excellent poll. And thank you, everybody, for considering carbon monoxide and carbon monoxide poisoning. So treatment of carbon monoxide poisoning, or what you need to do. I need to tell you that carbon monoxide poisoning is a medical emergency. This is not something you want to screw with. This is not something you go, oh, Mrs. Jones, just open the windows and clear the house out and you're fine. No, this is huge liability on you. If you know of a customer showing any of the symptoms, do not by any means, tell them it's okay to stay in that house. So there's my wife getting a beer. Say hi, Ann. So it's like keep it drifting in the background there for a second.
Yeah. That's what wives do.
In mild cases, breathe fresh air. This makes sense, right? In mild cases, you have a headache, go outside and breathe fresh air. It's pretty easy. In more severe cases, get 100% O2. In severe cases, increased partial pressure of oxygen. What I mean by that is that would be oxygen through a mask that's sealed around your nose and mouth that's being given to you at a higher pressure than atmospheric pressure at 100%.
Yeah,
What's that?
it's being pumped into you.
Exactly. Being basically pumped into you, right? In too late cases, might as well call the Undertaker. This isn't good,
Yeah, it
folks.
is very deadly killer.
This is not good. And believe me, I've seen boilers where people have used PVC that wasn't joined correctly, that came apart and filled the house with carbon monoxide. I've read cases where people have died from carbon monoxide on vacation in vacation homes. And the people who went to jail for it were not the boiler manufacturer, were not the PVC manufacturer, but it was the installer and the inspector. Ooh, that's novel. Carbon monoxide poisoning. So carbon monoxide, to reiterate, cannot be seen, cannot be smelled, can't be heard, and for God's sake, it can be stopped with simple CO2 detectors. So I said this before about 15 episodes ago. If you're putting in boilers without carbon monoxide detectors in the boiler room, please start doing it. You can get hardwired if the people want to pay the money. You can go to Home Depot and get a pack of 10 with 10-year batteries that are like, I don't know, 40 bucks a piece. Put your sticker on them, put them on the ceiling above the boiler. For God's sake, put these damn things in to protect yourself.
It's code here.
What's that?
It's part of the building code here. You cannot,
Yeah, well,
you cannot not put them in.
Well, building code in Vermont, I believe, is hardwired carbon monoxide detectors. Or was that Massachusetts?
Massachusetts requires them.
Massachusetts were hardwired. Yeah. So you can't even put a battery powered in. They have to be hardwired by an electrician. But they'll have one in the boiler room because it's code, not code in Pennsylvania. So canary in a coal mine. You guys have heard me say this before. The canary in the coal mine on the left-hand side is what the coal miners took down. My canary in a coal mine is my combustion analyzer that's sitting there on the right-hand side. That's my canary in a coal mine. I walk into houses with my combustion analyzer in my hand running without hoses attached to it. The hoses are in the container.
My canary in a coal mine is a personal carbon monoxide that I wear. It's a clip-on unit that I wear when I go in boiler rooms.
Wow. Wouldn't that be a great lead into this slide?
Yes, it would. There you go. That is it.
If you're doing boiler work all the time, and if you're constantly in boiler rooms, remember this, folks, carbon monoxide gets into your system and does not leave. It takes over 10 times longer for carbon monoxide to get out of your body than into your body, which means as you're in carbon monoxide, building it in, you're increasing the amount of carbon monoxide in your system because you're not getting rid of it, where you're exhaling O2 and CO2, you're not getting rid of the carbon monoxide. You got to follow what you're getting. This is, please, as a personal favor, if you're not carrying your combustion analyzer into boiler rooms, do what Ted and Jason do, and I will soon be doing, and Bill Mackey will soon be doing, is get yourself a carbon monoxide detector that hangs onto your shirt. I don't know, Ted, how much did you spend on your carbon monoxide tester? Your carry-on?
About $100 roughly when I got it.
All right. Whose brand do you use? Do you know? I keep a.
I use this little guy that you have up top here.
Oh, the SensorCon?
Yep.
Cool. I could probably unmute Jason and find out. Nope, Jason's gone. I can't unmute him anymore.
Jason's got the same unit.
Does he? Okay, good. So
Yeah,
excellent.
I got the same unit as he does.
The SensorCon?
But here's the thing, Steve. Now they have to have it calibrated every year. So every year it has to be calibrated, and that's for their safety.
Good to know.
I mean, and that's no different than your combustion analyzer. I mean, you got to get that calibrated as well. I mean, it's worth it, right? That's insurance.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they got a special fee when you buy it. You just send it back into the wholesaler, and they just have a special fee to calibrate it. It's just like your analyzer has to be calibrated.
How much does it cost for annual calibration?
I don't know. The last one I got, I think was like, I think the last time I got it was like $50, but I think it may have went up since then. So.
And the one I haven't had for a year yet, so I have not yet had it calibrated.
Cool. Very cool. So, folks, if you don't have one yet, you may want to consider having one, especially if you're in boiler rooms all the time. You know, there's a reason why there's rollout switches on atmospheric boilers, right? So how can a boiler?
Steve, not just boiler rooms. I mean, any appliance area like a gas furnace, you guys and gals should be aware of your safety and your surroundings. That's number one.
Yes. So, but we're talking boilers right now. We already talked about furnaces earlier. So how can a boiler increase carbon monoxide in the house? Improper venting. Broken or disconnected vent pipes or joints. Loose combustion doors. Atmospheric boiler. Bad draft or blocked chimney. Why do you think there's rollout switches on every draft hood on every atmospheric boiler? Because the chimneys are bad. And how about unsealed sections between the cast iron sections when people think it's normal for the jacket on the outside of the boiler to have burn spots on it? And Ted and I see pictures of that all the time, don't we, Ted?
We do. And actually, something Bill found this week on that one unit we're talking about is bad gaskets.
Bad gaskets. Yep. So these are things that you have to be aware of, folks. If someone is complaining of headaches, nausea, dizziness, confusion, these are signs of carbon monoxide poisoning. I have physically gone into my own parents' house with a combustion analyzer to check the CO level, because even though they have CO detectors, they were showing all those symptoms, and here it was just Alzheimer's. So but I took that out of the equation. So it's important that you test this and make sure you're on top of it.
Absolutely.
So causes of carbon monoxide poisoning. This is just something I found online. It's easily treated, not easily treated when you're dead, but easily treated if you have it. It does take a while for you to have pressurized oxygen. So you can see that in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. You see the symptoms in the top right. If you're not sure, if you want to keep this, just take a screenshot of it, and you have this to keep a hold of and see it. And everything that I looked up on carbon monoxide was having detectors. Do you know we had carbon monoxide detectors that we could put in line to test, to go onto our scuba tanks to test before we used them? So if we had a question whether or not we had carbon monoxide in there, we could actually test for it. Very pricey for scuba, but still works very well. So, not epilogue. I love epilogues. I've been reading a lot of epilogues. I've been reading a lot of books. I have over 4,000 miles behind the wheel this month. I've only read 3 books in the last 3 weeks. Pretty good. So what causes excess CO in an NTI boiler? Not to be confused with not enough carbon dioxide, which is what we're trying to get into the boiler. That's what we're trying to test. But the first suspect is usually a cracked venturi. The second suspect is usually a cracked venturi. So with that, I'd like to end this slideshow and just have an open discussion between Ted and I and Jason as to what other things we find will kill people. Anything that you want to add on to this, I'm going to end the slideshow. And thank you all for listening about carbon monoxide. Again, look for the symptoms. They're very easy to look for.
Did you know they sell Bluetooth ones? I just picked them up. Bluetooth, they'll link with your Alexa and send you a signal if the CO gets too high.
Oh, that's a household residential unit. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that they do that.
That's not for personal use. That's for in the house. And my son has them linked to Alexa. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. All that stuff can be linked together now. So that's another safety right there for the house that you should have in your house anyways.
So I am going to end the slideshow with that screen, just so you guys know. Look for nausea, trouble breathing, chest pain, irregular heartbeats, unconsciousness, and death. Not always the best symptoms in the world.
Thanks for watching the video today. If you'd like to check out more videos, see the link below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for all the future updates. And also check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.